Hello, I'm James Harvey, the professor of music theory at the College of Southern Nevada with 5-Minute Music Theory. And we're going to cover in this video another type of modulation, which is known as common tone modulation. Common chord modulation is when you use a pivot chord between two closely related keys, sometimes distantly related. We'll cover that in a later video. A common tone modulation, as you might figure, is when a single tone is used to modulate from one key to another in a similar fashion to the common chord, only it's a single tone. The key relationships will be different, however, usually in a common tone modulation compared to a common chord modulation. Before we get into the modulations, I want to talk about a new type of key relationship that we haven't covered at this point, known as the chromatic mediant. So a chromatic mediant relationship is when the root of a key is a third away, either major or minor, and of the same quality. So that's a little bit of a mouthful, so let me just show you examples of chromatic mediants. E major and E flat major are both chromatic mediants of C major. They're both a third away. One is a major third, one is a minor third, and they're both major. They have to be major in order to be chromatic mediants, or they have to be the same quality as the original key. So if it were in C minor, then the other chords would have to be minor as well. And then we can go the other direction as well, A and A flat. So chromatic mediants will always have a common tone. Let's look at the common tones here. A major and C major have a common tone of C, and actually there's an E as well. And then the other ones will all also have a common tone. But these are chromatic mediants. Now, the two types of relationships that are most commonly used in a common tone modulation are chromatic mediants and relative keys, relative major or minor, for these common tone modulations. You could technically use any key that has a common tone, but it's typically going to be a chromatic mediant or a relative major minor when you're modulating between these two keys. Now I want to show you how this is usually done, and I'm only going to show this using a single tone. We're going to use a chromatic mediant relationship. Yikes, that's not a very good brace. Not much better, but we'll leave it. And we're going to go from C major into E major. So between C and E, the common tone is going to be an E. I'm just going to sit that right there. And typically in a common tone modulation, there's a point where there's a single tone that just hangs out there for a little bit. And what it does is it serves as a bridge between the two keys. It sort of takes your mind off the first key and then eases you into the next key if it's done appropriately. Now, instead of writing chords here, it's a single tone, and there's not really a chord implied. So what we need to do is, instead of writing Roman numerals in a common tone modulation, we have to use scale degree numbers. E is the third scale degree in the key of C. And then in the new key of E, that is the first scale degree. So that's how you analyze a common tone modulation. These are not terribly common, by the way. So they're usually going to be obvious or fairly obvious when you see them. But the thing about them is that you need to make sure when you analyze them that you use scale degrees instead of chords. I see that as a really common mistake when students are analyzing common tone modulations. So just to quickly summarize everything here, common tone modulation is when there's a single common tone used to modulate between two keys, which typically have a chromatic mediant or a relative major minor relationship between those two keys. And to analyze them, you use the same sort of step method, only instead of using Roman numerals, we use scale degrees. Thank you.